On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk,
be able to put food in your mouth. You should be able to pay for where you live at. Like, nobody is asking you to be a damsel in distress. Now, that does not absolve you from ultimately being the woman that you're supposed to be in your household. So, for example, a lot of women that I know is in STEM. They make over $100,000 a year. I know some lawyers that make well over $150,000 a year. You know what they say? If I found a guy that said, yo, listen, you ain't got to do this and you can just be a mom, I'd quit tomorrow. That's exactly what they tell me. They don't choose their career over the man. Ultimately, the problem with a lot of women is that they let their career define them, and then they lean into that as far as like the different conversations with men. They use it to emasculate certain guys and so on and so forth. So I want her to be able to feed herself, but at the same time, I want her to still realize who she is and don't get too far away from that.
Trill, can I ask something really quick? What do you think about the women who the reason that they do it is to provide for their family? Mm-hmm. Like those women who are the first ones to go to college, the first one out, the first one to make any real money. They are supporting so-and-so's kid and mom's medication, and they are paying for everything because they're the first one that made some real money. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have the luxury of like, oh, me stop working to focus on other things. Like my mom got diabetes, you know, my little, you know. So what do you think about like those kind of women, and how do you think that they can like mitigate being, you know, providers for their family and trying to, you know, get their own family?
Well, I mean, I understand them 1,000%. You know, again, you're going to move based on what you're seeing or based on what your environment requires. And I think that that's what they're doing. And I think that's commendable. But as far as how to mitigate it, it's going to take reprogramming. And it's going to be a difficult ride for the dude that signed up to be with, especially if he's like a high earning man that wants to run his relationship a certain way. She's going to be challenging everything because she don't trust a man. She's never trusted a man because she's had to do everything on her own, including take care of her own parent and siblings and cousins. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a adjustment period. It's similar to like a dude, right? Like most dudes, you know, are not like wired to be monogamous. I feel like, or I don't even want to say wired, are not raised to be monogamous. So when he gets into a relationship, all he's been taught to do on the come up is hunt. And he's getting encouragement from everybody around him to do that environmentally. From my uncles, man, go out there and smash these chicks. From my boys, hey, whoever smashed the most chicks is the man. From women, whoever's highly desired, that's who I want. You know what I'm saying? So he's getting this ingrained in him all the way up into adult. And then when he meets a qualified woman, he's supposed to, boom, flip the switch and be this domesticated, this family man that's used to being with one woman. It's going to be a transition involved. And I think it's the same situation for the scenario that you gave. So a man, you know, again, that's why you got to understand your woman, understand where she come from, and give us some grace if that's a situation. But it's going to be work.
Amir, are high earning women choosing their careers over their family?
When we were speaking about high earners, we were asking, the question was, what is considered a high earner? And I would say that the high earner is relative to the medium income of the average woman, and the average woman's income is around $45,000, I believe. So to say high earner, I would double that and say 90,000 and above would be considered a high earner for a woman, a female. And as for if they're choosing their career over family, if you notice that the most high earning women in this country are Asian women, typically like Indian, you know, of Indian descent, Chinese, Eastern Indian, and then I believe white women follow them. So when you look at the average Indian woman or Asian woman that's like a surgeon or something big, you know, a big doctor or what have you, the majority of them are married. So would you say that they're choosing their career over their family? I don't think so, because they typically tend to be married, the really high earners, when you think about the Indians and the Asians. As for the American women, I do believe that they have a different mentality. So when they earn their money, they tend to think that they don't need the man. And these are the ones that are choosing the career over their family. But yeah, I think that's all.
I like what you said, Amira. I completely agree. I think that certain women,
Anton?
come on. I think that certain women definitely do have the ability to like have both. Like there are plenty of high earning women, like I said earlier. But then I think I'm not sure who was I think Trill right before you was talking about the point of like some women who kind of regret it. Were you saying that earlier? About
Right.
yeah. And it made me think of that Kanye West lyric where it was like on that independent S word, traded off for a husband and some kids. Like there are plenty of women in that situation too. So it's just like a complicated question, I think, because like Amira said, and like I agree with, tons of women are high earners and definitely have the family situation intact. And some like are like, you know what, I'm just going to focus on me. And some are happy doing that, and that's fine. And some are like, man, I wish I would have done this. And that's, you know, like Jay-Z says, you gotta learn to live with regret. Okay, look, did anybody ever hear that song, Regrets by Jay-Z?
Of course.
One of the dopest of from him, but okay. Another conversation.
Yeah, no,
I think
go
ahead, Trill. Go ahead, Trill.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to ask, like, do y'all feel like that type of woman is being the mother and the wife that she could be? Is she able to balance that sufficiently in most cases?
The one with the career?
Right. High earning out there, getting to that bag. Do
You know what?
She's able to balance it too?
Trill, I'm so glad that you asked this, because when Anton during the Thanksgiving show, I wanted to ask Anton this question so bad, and I would love your input. So I know that you want your daughter to go into STEM, right? Yes? No? Yes.
Are you asking Trill or are you asking me?
I'm asking you, Anton, because this was something that I was thinking about.
No. It's not that she has to go. I
No,
want
I
her
didn't
to
say
go
she
into
has
STEM. No. It's not that I want her to go into it.
He said that if he's going to pay for college, it has to be for something.
I'm going to pay for her education. If I'm going to contribute resources to something, it's going to have to be something of substance. That's what I said.
Okay, so STEM, you specifically mentioned STEM. So like, okay, let's say she is a surgeon. Would you advise her, and this I'm asking you as a parent of a daughter, would you advise her like maybe you shouldn't get into that because that might take a lot of your time? Or would you say, you know what, go ahead and do that and then just try to do the best you can with both?
That's a great question.
With being a wife and being a surgeon.
No, I would tell her to, it is going to take a lot of your time. It is going to take away from, who it is for you to become, and so on and so forth, or whatever. Yeah, I would absolutely give her that insight.
Wait, but which one would you want her to do? Because I know you want to make certain decisions for your daughter. So like, would you say, do not go into this field because this is a highly demanding field?
Well, see, I think
you got a lot of work ahead of you. So would you tell her, look, don't do that?
Let me tell you what the context is, because a lot of y'all say it's either or. A woman's ability to be able to put food in her mouth, she don't get credit for that. That's you being an adult. You have to be able to put food in your mouth. You should be able to pay for where you live at. Like, nobody is asking you to be a damsel in distress. Now, that does not absolve you from ultimately being the woman that you're supposed to be in your household. So, for example, a lot of women that I know is in STEM. They make over $100,000 a year. I know some lawyers that make well over $150,000 a year. You know what they say? If I found a guy that said, yo, listen, you ain't got to do this and you can just be a mom, I'd quit tomorrow. That's exactly what they tell me. They don't choose their career over the man. Ultimately, the problem with a lot of women is that they let their career define them, and then they lean into that as far as like the different conversations with men. They use it to emasculate certain guys and so on and so forth. So I want her to be able to feed herself, but at the same time, I want her to still realize who she is and don't get too far away from that.